James Devereaux prided himself on being the sharpest, most no-nonsense CEO in the game. He ran his company with an iron fist, rewarding only the top performers and sweeping anyone he deemed inefficient straight out the door. Enter Emily Carter, a soft-spoken new hire working as his personal secretary. Emily was diligent, punctual, and polite, but one fateful day she made what James saw as an unforgivable error. In the rush of juggling his calendar and booking flights for an important overseas client, she accidentally scheduled his departure a day later than intended. James was furious. His temper flared as he stormed into Emily's tiny office. "Do you understand what kind of deal you almost cost me?" he snapped, his voice echoing through the halls. Emily stammered out an apology, her face pale with anxiety, but James had made up his mind. "Pack your things," he barked. "You're fired." Emily's hands trembled as she gathered her belongings. She didn't argue or plead. She simply nodded, her eyes shimmering with unspoken hurt. Within an hour, she was gone, leaving behind only a desk cleared of her presence. James didn't think about her again. At least, not until 3 days later, when he walked into a high-stakes board meeting that would determine the future of his company. The meeting room was buzzing as usual, its long table surrounded by some of the wealthiest investors in the industry. But one chair stood out, a seat that was rarely occupied in person. It was reserved for Margaret Carter, the company's primary investor and one of the most powerful businesswomen in the region. Over the years, Margaret had supported James's vision generously, even during rough times, but she was notoriously private, rarely attending meetings herself, until today. And then behind her came someone James never expected to see again, Emily. James felt his stomach drop. Emily entered with her head held high, her composure a stark contrast to the nervous young secretary he remembered. She took her place next to Margaret, a quiet confidence radiating from her every move. That's when it hit James. Emily Carter wasn't just anyone. She was Margaret Carter's daughter. Margaret wasted no time getting to the point. Though her voice was calm, her words were laced with ice. "Mr. Devereaux," she began, her gaze piercing, "I've recently been informed of how you treated one of my family members, my daughter to be precise." James opened his mouth to speak, but Margaret held up a hand to silence him. "Before you attempt to justify your actions, let me make something abundantly clear. Emily didn't take that job because she needed the money. She wanted to learn, to understand the business world without privilege or favoritism. She believed in your company and in you. Unfortunately," she said, her voice hardening, "it seems that belief was misplaced." James's mind raced as he tried to salvage his reputation. "Mrs. Carter, Margaret, I had no idea Emily was." "It doesn't matter who she is," Margaret interrupted sharply. "What matters is how you treat people, regardless of their status. And based on your actions, it's clear to me that your leadership lacks something crucial: compassion." The room was deathly silent. Every executive and investor watched, their eyes darting between Margaret and James. James's face burned with embarrassment, but he forced himself to meet Margaret's gaze. "You're right," he admitted, his voice uncharacteristically subdued. "I failed. I let my temper dictate my actions, and in doing so, I lost sight of the values this company was built on. I can only offer my sincerest apologies to Emily and to you." Margaret studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Finally, she tilted her head toward Emily. "My daughter will decide whether your apology is worth accepting." Emily's eyes met James's, her expression steady but thoughtful. After what felt like an eternity, she spoke. "Apology accepted," she said quietly, "but only if you commit to making real changes, to how you treat your employees and how you lead this company. Otherwise, I doubt my mother or I will continue to be part of its future." James nodded, swallowing his pride. "You have my word." Margaret glanced around the table, her gaze challenging. "I trust everyone here will hold Mr. Devereaux accountable to his promise. As for you, Emily," she said, rising to her feet, "I think it's time we explored opportunities more deserving of your talent." With that, she left, Emily following closely behind. James watched them go, the weight of the moment settling over him. For the first time, he realized that leadership wasn't just about sharp decisions and profits, it was about people, and he had nearly lost everything by forgetting that. It was a hard lesson, but one James Devereaux would never forget.